Let's set the scene. It's Moscow, 1927. A doctor, Vladimir Bomgard, finds a diary that belongs to a colleague he hasn't seen in a decade, and for some reason he's been putting off reading it. Why? Well, because its pages don't just tell a story. They hold a terrible warning about one man's descent, a story that really kicks off one snowy night 10 years earlier.
So as he unties that string, he's opening up the private journal of Dr. Sergey Polyakov, a classmate from university. And the entries, they chronicle one single fateful year, a year that started with him running from a broken heart and ended in this profound, deathly silence. This is the story of how a brilliant doctor completely unraveled.
Our story really begins in the brutal winter of January 1917. Dr. Sergey Polyakov shows up at this incredibly remote medical outpost to take over for Dr. Bomgard. But this posting, it wasn't a career move. It was a calculated retreat, a self-imposed exile to the absolute middle of nowhere.
So what was he running from? Well, a single portrait sitting on his desk tells you everything you need to know. She was an opera singer. They'd lived together for a whole year, and then she just left him. So he fled to this wilderness, probably hoping the crushing silence outside could somehow quiet the storm raging inside him.
February 15th, 1917. Any plan for quiet healing gets completely shattered. A sudden, violent stomach pain just doubles Polyakov over. The station's midwife, a woman named Anna, finds him in pure agony. And just like that, the doctor becomes the patient, helpless and desperate.
For pain this bad, there's really only one remedy they have on hand. Anna prepares a 1% solution of morphine. You have to remember, at the time, this was seen as a miracle drug, a powerful and trusted tool. This injection right here would be the very first dose of morphine Dr. Polyakov ever received.
The needle goes in, and as the drug floods his system, it performs two miracles at once. The first one's obvious. The physical pain just melts away. But then something else happens, something unexpected and way more seductive. The gnawing ache of his heartbreak, it just vanishes into this warm, euphoric peace.
That night, for the first time in months, he actually sleeps. I mean, truly sleeps. No tossing, no turning, no dreaming about the woman who abandoned him. A single dose did what weeks of isolation couldn't. He's found his cure. Or, at least, that's what he thinks.
Pretty soon, the injections become a routine, a way to keep his sorrow locked away. And Anna, his caregiver, she becomes what he calls his secret wife, a confidant in his growing dependency. The professional line between doctor, patient, and enabler starts getting very, very blurry.
By March, the morphine is offering more than just peace. It starts to bring what he calls double dreams, these incredibly vivid hallucinations that fill him with this false, intoxicating sense of strength. The drug isn't just a painkiller anymore. It's a doorway to a whole other reality.
But Anna, the one who gave him that first fateful dose, is now filled with this dawning horror. She sees the path he's on, and she knows it's irreversible, so she refuses to prepare any more, even hiding the keys to the pharmacy. Their quiet partnership just shatters into a desperate conflict.
Her refusal doesn't stop him, though. If anything, it just makes him more desperate. Now he's hunting for the drug himself, ransacking his own medical cabinets in the dead of night, driven by a need that has become the single most important thing in his life.
While all this is going on, a revolution is tearing Russia apart. The Tsar abdicates. An entire empire is collapsing. But to Polyakov, this world-shattering news is just meaningless ink on paper. His whole world has shrunk to the size of a syringe, and his only ruler is a crystalline god. Then, on April 13th, the self-deception finally ends. He makes this stark, simple two-word admission in his diary. No justification, no excuses. He just writes, "I am a morphinist."
With the clinic's morphine supplies running low, he desperately tries a substitute, cocaine. But it's a complete disaster. Instead of that familiar, blissful peace, it just brings on a whole new kind of sickness, making his misery even worse. Turns out, there's no substitute for his god. His tolerance is just skyrocketing. He now needs a 3% solution, multiple times a day. He's forced to make these journeys to the main town, just a gaunt, feverish figure, hunting for the one thing he absolutely cannot live without. That November, he has a moment of clarity, a last-ditch, desperate attempt to save himself. He travels all the way to Moscow and commits himself to a psychiatric clinic. He trades his doctor's coat for a patient's gown, hoping science and discipline can somehow break the chains.
But right as he starts his treatment, the Bolshevik seize power. From his sterile hospital window, he literally watches Moscow burn. The chaos in the streets becomes this perfect, terrifying mirror of the chaos in his own mind.
And in all that chaos, he sees an opportunity. Using the revolution as cover, he steals a supply of morphine and escapes the clinic. The head professor just lets him go, offering this grim prediction. He'll be back, but he'll be in a much, much worse state.
And now, we're back in 1927. Dr. Bomgard closes the diary. He finally gets it, the full, horrifying story of his colleague's silence. He would later publish the account, but not as some tragedy. No, he published it as a clinical, stark warning, a case study of just how quickly a cure for pain can become a curse with no escape.